support more and more with our plugins. You know that there were several changes because Apple improved the security, so we have to release again our plugins. But okay, we are doing. And okay, the only problem I see, you have a lot of connections. It's a computer which is very small, very light, but you need to connect, and it's like a recording facility now because you have so many cables connected. So and this streaming is about also Dolby Atmos, but I don't want to explain how to mix in Atmos. More about Sienna, how to connect it, and more important, I think, also to explain differences. For example, in rendering engines, to explain, for example, how we did several things. I think so. A lot of also Mirko from Germany. See, hi Randy from Berlin. Okay, yeah. Sphere, yes, Sienna Sphere. Yeah. From Canada, yeah, wow. UK, I see. Yeah, I see. This is an interesting topic, and it's very complex, I think. I mean, Atmos is a very complex topic, and there are not many products. I think our one is one of the first product you have, for example, for replacing your speakers, especially when you are using, for example, Dolby Suite. So we don't have many examples around. It's very complex topic, and see also people are not very prepared to this new topic. But it's something that will change in the future because you know now there is a lot of movement on this new topic. You see there is Apple now which is supporting, for example, Dolby Atmos directly in Apple Music. Possibly will be soon also Spotify. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. So we decide to create this plugin as soon as possible in order to try to fix and to solve a problem. And I see that it's a bit early, in my opinion, because people are still not prepared. They don't have recording facility. Still, someone is prepared. Someone is mixing. They've been mixing with the Dolby Atmos for several years, but for Dolby Music, we are in early stages. So it's very interesting topic, and I see there are a lot of questions, and also in public forums I see there is a lot of confusion on this topic because people know that they have to mix in Atmos, they maybe have to do, they don't have a clue about to do it, and they don't know which tools they could use if they have to create they have to buy speakers, for example, or just to mix using headphones. So there are a lot of questions, mixed questions. See. Okay, Mario. Mario is saying Italian language that he will buy a plugin. Okay. Hi from Romania. Hi, I got it. Okay. From Brazil. Okay. Marcelo. We have a lot of people this year from Brazil. Yes. Also from Romania. There is a new trend. Several years ago, we had a lot of people from, for example, USA, from UK, from even Canada, France, okay, Germany, and now Brazil. I'm happy because it's a sort of new trend, and I love it because we are reaching people even from South America, from also Africa, for example. I love it. I'm waiting other people, but I think now. Okay. Yeah, and I can read what you write here. So if you have questions, you can do questions all the time, and I try to reply. I try to answer to your question, if any. Really, don't be shy. I mean, I know that a lot of questions sometimes are simple, but really, what I know is that it is a very an early topic. I mean, is an early topic for everybody, for everyone. So it's a perfectly normal that sometimes people are not prepared. So questions are very simple, but there is not a wrong question. I mean, there are so many questions about this topic. It was something new even for me. So comprato oggi. Thank you, Manuele. Okay, Enrique from support is saying that they are tracking questions. Okay, Gareth, never mix Atmos. Yes. Okay, my live stream is not about mixing Atmos. I want to be honest on this because it's a very complex topic. And I think that for mixing Atmos, you have to learn. I mean, the microphone was okay. So basically, you cannot learn how to mix in Atmos just from this live stream. You have to watch a lot of videos on internet, and I think it's a very complex topic because everything is different. I mean, if you mix it in stereo recording facility like this one, our small one, Atmos is completely different because you have to deal with the objects, you have to move objects around, and there is not a mastering phase. There will be possibly, but now there is not a mastering phase, so everything is new, and there is very different way for mixing. What we are trying to do is to replace your physical speakers, more or less. I mean, if you want to create an Atmos recording facility, you have to pay a lot of money, you have to spend a lot of money. My idea is that you can try to replace and you can take advantage of this plugin for sort of testing this new environment before buying speakers. And even when you have a complete recording facility for Atmos mixing, this tool Sienna can help you because sometimes you have to check your mix using different headphones, but also using different render engines. For example, if you are releasing a mix for Apple Music, you don't have an idea about the mix on Tidal or other stream services. So what Sienna is doing is a sort of creating a common tool you can use based on different rendering tools inside. So in a way you can switch from one to the other one, and using a single tool you can have an idea about your mix, if it will translate or not. So this is our idea. Several months ago, I had a friend. He spent a lot of money on this new recording facility, converting this recording facility to Atmos, and it was very expensive, a very expensive task. And my idea was, okay, you have this new incredible recording facility, but possibly other people cannot be here, and they have to buy speakers, and maybe they need just to produce music, and they don't want to have this sort of cost at the very beginning. But the very problem was later, because I discovered that each streaming service as a sort of different tool, is a different engine inside. So, for example, listening music on Apple Music and the same song on Tidal, the result is different because you know Tidal is using, for example, Dolby Atmos rendering tool for creating the streaming, and also, for example, Apple Music is using the Apple spatial music. So basically, they are using a different different way for translating music, especially the binaural audio. So my idea was to create a sort of common tool for switching from one to the other one, which is a Sienna Sphere. And the idea was about sampling them. So there is Apple Music, okay, let's sample it. There is Dolby, and let's sample it. There is, for example, Steinberg Nuendo based on Ambisonic. Let's sample it, and so on. So create a sort of single tool which could help you to translate. So this is my first idea. And Sienna, several months ago, okay, there was this stereo version of Sienna, was a very good starting point for creating this new plugin, this new tool, because we had, for example, headphone correction. We had, for example, the binaural rendering engine. We had a lot of, for example, system-wide was almost completed. So the idea was to extend the system-wide to a sort of multi-channel driver and to implement in Sienna the rendering engine from other platforms. And so this was the basic idea. So we created this Dolby compatible plugin. Let's not forget that you need something from Dolby for using Sienna, because you need a sort of ADM. So before Sienna, you need in any case a Dolby tool, which could be, for example, the mastering or production suite, or you can use, for example, Logic Spatial, which inside there is Dolby, or you can use Nuendo, for example. Inside Nuendo you have another Dolby ADM render. So basically you start from a Dolby object, a Dolby bed, a Dolby object, Dolby render tool, and you can use Sienna later. The idea about Sienna is to create something which could help you to replace speakers. So this is my idea. I don't know if you have already questions, or is clear the starting point of Sienna. What is the focale on the desk? Yes, because okay, we had a lot of headphones in our offices, and you cannot see now, but we have incredible headphone amplifiers from Audio GD, which is a Chinese company. They are in front of me now. They are turned off because they are in class A, and they are very, very hot devices. The idea was to test a lot of other headphones using the best preamplifiers we could get our hands on. And at the end, we decided that possibly Audisi, which is this headphone, exactly this model, is one of the best tools for it. But also, I love this, I don't know if you can see it, this Focal MG Professional, which is the headphone loved by Luca Pretolesi. Luca is a bit a part now of the company. I mean, we are doing a lot of stuff, a lot of things together. So he's suggesting his loved headphones to me, and I'm suggesting my loved headphones to Luca. But they are really cool headphones, yes. which is the best type of headphone for Atmos? Okay, in my opinion, there is not a best headphone. I mean, Atmos is a really a problematic source. I mean, you have a lot of speakers which are sort of represented in your soundstage, and you know it's difficult for a binaural object to represent so many speakers at the same time, because one of the reasons is because each one has a different transfer curve. I mean, we have a different shape of our pinna, our torso, and so on, also the ear canal, and so on. The idea is that really is difficult to represent so many different speakers in sort of illusion in your head. And it's difficult exactly because you can have this sort of custom curve. I mean, there are now new methods for make a sort of assessment of your, for example, the shape of your pinna. But in my opinion, we are still in early stages. So it's very difficult to have a perfect matched function. And for this reason, it's very difficult to have a sort of virtual illusion of the real sound stage you can have in a real Atmos room. At this point, it's very important you have the best headphone possible. Best headphone possible for me is Audisi, because I can hear perfectly low frequencies without too much distortion, and also because I need to listen to all transients, all details, and it's very difficult to do the same task, for example, using a Sennheiser. We try different headphones, and especially for Atmos, it's very important you buy an expensive headphone with a good transient, a good definition, a low distortion. Now, for this Atmos task, we have now Audisi and Focal. They are a bit different. I mean, Soundstage is a little better for Focal Professional, in my opinion, because our frequencies are a little better, and you understand the direction of your sources in a better way using Focal. But for Audisi, I think they are a good competitor. I prefer, to be honest, Audisi for listening Atmos, because low frequencies are better represented, there is less distortion, and really you have an illusion you are in a room, which is very important for mixing Atmos. There are a lot of other headphones you can use. For example, I love other planar headphones. For example, Sandara is a cheap compromise. You can use Monolith, which is another cheap compromise. You can use high-end AKG headphones. I mean, €1,000 AKG like 812. They are very good too. You can use even Apple headphones. They are really good, but I think the problem is Bluetooth connection, and maybe for mixing. Okay, they are a good tool because a lot of people will use the same headphones for listening music, your music using Apple devices, but in my opinion, Apple using this Bluetooth connection is not very suitable for mixing. You lose something in this sort of protocol. I don't remember having a lot of. I really tested not less than 300 headphones. Several ones were really good. For example, high-end Audisi, 3,000 headphone, even more, or very expensive Hi-Fi headphones. I remember. Also Stax, really good headphones. Not very detailed in low frequencies, but okay. Focal, high-end Focals like I don't remember Stelia. I don't remember exactly the name is very good. Also Focal very good. I mean, there are several brands which are better than other ones for representing the soundstage, and this is very relevant for Atmos mixing. So, since you are sort of replacing 50,000 speakers, I suggest to invest a little bit in headphones and maybe in the headphone preamplifier, which is very important. So, okay, we are receiving first question before we start with speaking and explaining and describing Sienna. Okay, they are making a question like I asked about close open headphone. Okay, open headphone, because closed one, I mean, they are more problematic. There is really a good headphone which is closed headphone from a competitor, Steven Slate. I love the closed headphone he created. Sometimes I use this headphone, is not bad. It's not true you can reproduce how this is sound, in my opinion, okay, but the headphone is very good in my opinion. So for this time I will speak in a very good way about Slate headphones. Really my congratulations to him, because the headphones are light, very portable. You can hear distortion in a very good way. I mean, they are very detailed. Low frequencies are pretty good. They are comfortable. Okay, very good headphones. I prefer ODZ, but you know the problem with ODZ, if you carry with you, it's like you are carrying with you a part of your recording facility. But for Atmos, you need this sort of precision, in my opinion. Okay, use system-wide is okay. We speak about Flavius about system-wide a little bit, because system-wide in this case is a solution. I mean, you cannot use something different than system-wide. For example, for interfacing Sienna with the Dolby suite. You cannot load a plugin, so you need a system-wide. So this is, we'll speak about it. And Ferdinando is asking in Italian language, is asking if you, for listening, mix a different gain, different rudeness, if it's better to lower the gain after or before Sienna. Yes, okay. There is an emulation about the harmonic distortion. So yes, if you push your level, you can hear also a bit of distortion from the speakers. It's very realistic simulation. So I suggest to care about the sound stage. In my opinion, sound is very good, even if you push it a lot and if you hear a lot of distortion, it's very realistic, because it's very light distortion. You can decide what is more realistic for you. I would care about sound staging in any case, and I would use the input knob in Sienna for tuning exactly how much distortion I want to listen. So this is my question, my answer. For mixing headphone 100. Okay, Zan, you are right. You're waiting with for a custom-made headphone with the drivers installed inside. Yeah. Yes, but really you don't need this. I mean, you need just you have a couple of this, so you don't need a lot of drivers. I mean, you need just to reproduce in a convincing way just a couple of them. So binaural, this is the sense of binaural. You cannot even implement, for example, you recreate a sort of circle of speakers around your. But in my opinion, this is not the future. The future is about translating something which is inside your ear, like an in-ear monitor, and recreate the illusion of binaural in a convincing way, sort of reproducing your head-related transfer function. So this is. How Acustica will solve the head-related transfer function. Okay, this HRTF is very important, I mean, because you need a sort of custom one. There are a lot of solutions coming. For example, Apple now has a patent, so wearing AirPods, but the small one, not the AirPod Max, they are sort of implementing a sort of microphone inside it, so they can hear the environment in the way you are here, and they sort of make an assessment of your room and of the time reaching you need for reaching the different air channels. I mean, for example, there is a sound in the room, and you can make an assessment and understand which is the size of your head, and you can also make an assessment of a different gain level and a different time for reaching. Okay, and this is for them is a sort of custom transfer function. Is the beginning of a sort of a custom transfer function. So they are moving in this direction. A lot of companies are moving in this direction. You can, for example, sample different head-related function, and you can reproduce them based on artificial intelligence. For example, make a picture of your hair and choosing the best one, or sort of interpolation the best one. So there are a lot of possible solutions. In my opinion, we are still in early stages, so there is not an answer, and we prefer to wait a little bit. We prefer to wait a little bit on this task and maybe implement a sort of reader for example, a custom curve loaded from third-party tools. On next year, we'll move a lot on this direction because we know a lot of companies are moving in this direction because it's the key for something real, a better virtual experience. But let's not forget that Sienna is not about the best virtual experience. It's about translation. I mean, you don't need exactly to have the illusion, the perfect illusion of being in an Atmos room. For you, it's very important you have a tool which helps you in translating your mix without this room, so that your mix is correct. Now, if you have a very matched curve, okay, it helps for the best experience possible, and I know this will be the future. But today, you can use the actual tool, and is perfect for what it does. Not only, if people will listen music on streaming services, and they are based on medium functions. So, and you need to listen in the same way, exact way your customer will listen to. So it's more important a tool like Sienna, which is trying to reproduce different listening experience, trying to sample them more than have the best virtual experience. I see also Tony Brown, they are suggesting a question. Is the Sienna Sphere settings the same as normal Sienna? A part of it, yes. A part of it, no. Because there is something new. Now I'll try to explain. I'm checking if there are other questions useful before starting. Happy holidays using. Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. The best recommendation to use plugins in Pro Tools, multi-tracks. Recommendation for plugins in general, I suppose. Plugins directly in the track is better. Try to open and see the same issue. Yeah. Because Pro Tools in Pro Tools our plugins are very CPU intensive. Let's not forget that Pro Tools now is not Silicon really native application. So Pro Tools will be a native application, and our plugins are pretty light in Pro Tools, so the problem will be solved in new processor like this one. But today you have a problem. I understand perfectly. There is not an answer. Someone suggested, for example, audio grider, the audio grider, which is a sort of server component. Also modular. Modular will be used also for client server in the future, and we are beta testing it. Is another possible solution. And my best advice is to wait a bit and to buy an Apple Silicon computer like this one. As soon as Pro Tools will support properly it, really the problem of CPU load almost will disappear. Okay, we see we can open really a lot of instances now, even reverbs, which are very CPU intensive. And double Untitled, okay, Lemon, okay, not pitch shifting for you, Steve, today, but we'll have. Okay, this is an interesting question for Marco. Is 7.1.2 routing the Pro Tools on Nuendo wave or over routing? The answer is yes and no. I mean, in Nuendo you can use 7.1.4. You can place the Sienna plugin in your output bus after the render, so basically like a normal plugin, and it just works. For Pro Tools, you need to use the Dolby Atmos suite because there is not another choice. And after the Dolby Atmos suite, the only way is the system-wide. So today you have a solution for Apple, and you have to wait a little bit for Windows, a couple of months, I mean, because there is no system-wide for Windows. So if you're using Pro Tools for Windows, you can use the suite, but there is no Sienna which could work. Obviously, you can also connect Sienna directly in Pro Tools, but as a 7.1.2, but just for the bed track, so not very useful, because you want to route it after the render and after the object rendering. So this is the real answer. Sienna subject image update. Yes, we are sort of updating all products to M1 for Monterey. They are perfectly working, almost 90% of them in Big Sur, but for Monterey we are going to replace it to upload them again because these new security constraints, so we are doing. Plan for making Sphere work with VR? Possibly. There is a plan, a lot of plans for next year. Yes. What I think, okay, I explain this live stream what I think about Logic, because we can test directly in Sienna. Why Sienna? Okay, this is for Emiliano an interesting question. Okay, I see the topic is not very clear. Okay, Logic has a good binaural rendering engine, and I think it's pretty good. We can test in our emulation because we are emulating it. The problem is that when you create your Atmos track is based on metadata. So basically, you reproduce it on different environments. The problem is that, for example, Tidal, and in the future, I think also Spotify, is based on Atmos render, binaural render, while Apple is based on Apple render, and they are a little bit different one from the other one. So if you want to check your mix on different environments, you need a Sienna, or you have to use a headphone in one, then assemble your song in another computer, and listen the song in the other environment and try to compare them, or listen in your studio. So it's very difficult to check to compare binaural mixes. And this is the reason why Sienna Sphere exists. I mean, you need a single tool where you can compare different binaurals results, and you can understand if your mix translates. So it's true that Logic binaural render is very good, and also Dolby Atmos render is very good, but they are different, and you need a tool for merging them, for understanding, and for comparing them. So I don't know, Marco, if it answers your question. Is this, I mean, the core question of Sienna? I'm happy you you asked for it. Is I think the best question you can have about this topic. A lot of people are asking, there is this render engine, why I need Sienna? And this is also this good binaural render, why I need Sienna? I know there is a guy which is mixing a lot of things in Atmos, and he is using is a friend of mine. He's using Steinberg window and DRVR, for example, from Plugin Alliance. Connecting them, okay, he has a good binaural engine. Okay, we sample also this DRVR. The problem is that you can compare this mix, but you have to check this mix in DRVR. Then you have to check in Dolby. Then you have to check in Logic. Then you have to reproduce in a real room. And in this case, Sienna is good because you can reproduce this Atmos sort of emulating the real room. You can reproduce Logic. You can reproduce Dolby. You can reproduce DRVR. You can reproduce even binaural engine from Steinberg, and you can compare them. You have a preset for each one, and you switch from a preset to the other one, and you check if it translates. It's the same experience you can have in normal Sienna. I mean, you have different speakers, and you switch from a room, another one. You have, for example, you can sort of emulating the iPhone speaker, then the iPad speaker. Then you can emulate a big speaker from ATC, then Amphion speakers, and you compare. You compare and you check if the mix translates. Okay, in Sienna Spheres, you need exactly the same kind of check. Only is not between different speakers, but more between different rendering engines. So basically, this is the answer. What made you believe Dolby Atmos mixing will be okay? Really, Apple switched to Dolby, so Apple is pretty big. A lot of big facilities sort of moved to Atmos, and this is another red flag. But more important is that Spotify is sort of supporting Atmos in backend now, so I suppose that everything will move to Atmos. It's sort of like a winner. I mean, in all possible solutions for this immersive music. And I don't think Dolby is the best one, but I think Dolby is the winner today. And let's check it. There are alternatives, but they don't have enough space. And also, stereo music will exist for a lot of years, but sort of there is a sort of movement towards this new direction. So I see that Dolby for me is a bet. And for me, okay, we created Sienna. Sienna is a perfect product. Dolby is the first support product for Sienna. Maybe we support also other immersive tools. Someone asked for 5.1, for example. Also THX also is another request we'll do. In my opinion, we can support even other different immersive formats in the future, but in my opinion, Dolby is the winner today. Yes, DRVR from Plugin Alliance, DRVR, exactly. This one for Marco. Yes, Mario, you will use it in Logic. It's very useful because in Logic, you don't have today a way for checking your binaural result in Dolby way. I mean, you have your Dolby render and it's okay. You are using the Logic Spatial Atmos binaural render, but you miss the Dolby binaural render. And for and Sienna is the only tool you can use. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now the first questions. Okay, I think I answered all the first questions. I mean, I want to start. I want to show you exactly how simple is Sienna Sphere and how to use it. And if you have headphones, you can enjoy in this live stream. Maybe we can record it. Maybe the quality will be not good enough, but you can have an idea about the capabilities of this software. Okay, let's start from the first tool I want to introduce, which is the Dolby production suite. We have a mastering and production suite here. And okay, in this case didn't open, and this is very interesting. Okay, because we have now a lot of cables, a lot of we are sort of doing this streaming, and this Mac is going literally nuts for reproducing it. Okay, so basically you have this Atmos render. Okay, we can I have in this computer I have a Logic and I think also Nuendo from Steinberg. Keep in mind that you need this one, or you need the Logic, or you need Nuendo. It's true that you have ADM in Reaper and other tools, but today I think best choices are 3 of them, and we are supporting more or less 3 of them. Now, when I open this Dolby Atmos render from Dolby, we are not affiliated with Dolby. I want to be clear about this point. I'm not Dolby. I created a tool which is compatible with the Dolby render, and my tool is supposed to work after their tool. So it's not a replacement. It's just a sort of a companion. It's a sort of tool you can use, helping you to replace your speakers. So it's very important you understand that now you need a tool for Dolby. What we are trying to do is to replace your speakers and also to have something which translates. We help you translating your mixes, checking different binaural listening experiences. So this is first, and there is a song loaded in it. So basically, all I have to do is to load Sienna Sphere. Okay, it was driver error, and I can explain why there is this driver error. Driver error is because Dolby Atmos render wants 48 kilohertz, okay, but more important, it wants exactly a buffer of 512. And this buffer cannot be any different. I mean, it's very fixed. Is a sort of big issues, and this is a reason more to using for this tool, which is Sienna Sphere in system wide, because it's not normal. You cannot just connect a driver to it and it will work. You need exactly a driver with these 512 samples. So you need something which is compatible with it, and you need the 48 kilohertz, and there are not other solutions in the market today. So this is the point. And so this is the plugin. Okay, basically now it is a saved session, but I can start even from something different, like a sort of empty loaded configuration. Okay, basically the first thing you have to do when you use it in system wide is to configure your routing speakers. This is very important. You have to be careful about it, because when you are using Sienna as a normal plugin, there are no problems, because you have this plugin, audio unit plugin. Okay, you load it in your output bus, is okay. You have this Nuendo, same situation. You load in the output bus and it's okay. But for connecting as a system-wide, you need to be careful, because each software has a different order in speakers. For example, maybe you used, maybe not, about this tool. We have this room setup. room setup. Okay, this is a 7.1.4 configuration. Okay, and this is the exact configuration you should have. I mean, the same exact number of numbers in each speaker for using this tool. I think in the future we'll make it sort of parametric, so you can configure, for example, an XML file if you are using something different. But for the best experience, I suggest to use this exact configuration, especially because I suppose you don't have speakers if you are trying to use a Sienna as a replacement of speakers. If you have speakers, okay, try this or use a render facility in your one. But this is important is the order. And using this order, you can watch in this picture, using this order, you need to be careful about how many speakers you are reproducing. So in this case, we have 7.1.4, which is this one physical, is the same. And it's very important that I load a configuration 7.1.4. So this is all I have to do for getting something perfectly working. So it's very simple. And okay, and last step I was forgetting is to choose in this menu exactly which is your configuration. Okay, you see there are 7.1.4 or 7.1.6 or this other configuration which is 9.1.4 or 9.1.6. So basically, if you use the routine I described, you don't need to do anything else. This software will work perfectly, and is a little miracle in my opinion, because each system, each sequencer has a different way for routing channels outside. For example, if you are using a system-wide for Logic Audio, you have in the same setting you have the Apple convention, for example. Flat convention is for Nuendo because it is close to VST3, which is the base convention. So based on what you are going to connect, basically you have a sort of convention connection. There was a customer who told me this evening, asked me about Logic in system-wide. He had the issues. Is it possible? We are really in early stages. Is it possible that a sequencer used, for example, in system-wide is not working as expected? On next days, we'll check carefully if something is wrong. You have to consider which is the most tested configuration for us. So, for Atmos, we tested this configuration, and I can tell you, is working. So it's reliable. If you are using Logic, it's supposed to be used as a plugin, and when you use Steinberg Nuendo, it's supposed to be used as a plugin. So especially if you are using the internal render. So basically, they are the most tested and the used configuration. If we are connecting maybe Logic using system-wide, possibly there could be bugs. We have to check them. I think, compared very well Steinberg Nuendo. I'm not sure that Audio Unity system-wide is bug-free, but it will be on next days. So we'll double check. There was a customer sent me a message this evening. So this is the convention. Basically, I want to load a room, which is, for example, this OG, which is House of Glass, is a recording facility. A friend of mine in Viareggio. And you have to be careful that you have a 7.1.4 configuration. So everything should be on the same format. Render is 7.1.4. This render is supposed to be after, obviously, Pro Tools, inside Pro Tools, okay? And is also a standalone player. So this evening we'll use it as a standalone player, but basically it's the same component you are using from Pro Tools. Very important, system-wide is a native application. So even if Pro Tools or render Dolby Render is not a native application, okay, we are working as a native application. So you check that this one is a 7.1. You check that room setups numbers are the same I described here, and you have in the user manual. You check that in this case the loaded setup is 7.1.4, and you check that the same is in audio settings, is here the channel convention is the same, 7.1.4. So basically now is working. So this one, let's quit, let's restart, so I'm sure that is working properly. I wear my headphones, and if you have headphones, you can try this music, which is a song created for our, like a demo song for our product. I want to listen with you this song, and I want to check with you also different speakers. I mean, in this menu, make a solo of speakers using different rendering engines, and to explain differences between an engine and the other one. So maybe this is the best thing we can do. I like listening a song and try to listen together which are difference between different tools, which is exactly what Sienna is doing. I loaded a complete emulation. I mean, in this emulation there is the binaural engine from ourselves. So basically we have this clarity is an Acustica render in this case. There is the room reproduced with the speakers, and everything is, I mean, is a stop. So you have an idea about how a mix will be. Using your headphones, okay, you can, last detail, I'm using Odyssey emulation. If you want, if you ask me, I can remove, but Odyssey really more or less is compatible with a lot of headphones. Without it or with it, more or less is very close, because Odyssey is very linear headphone. And for now, it's important not to have an idea about which is the best virtual experience, but about direction of sound and how an Atmos mix will sound. So I hear headphones, and hear the song.
To me, I don't know. I can see me next to you, doing something stupid and fun. What's wrong? But I can't ignore your eyes. They are telling me that we're done wires. I'm gonna miss the way I live with you. Oh, you are a part of me, I'm breaking through. All of the memories we made into. Can you give me one more night for
Okay, now let's focus on different approach from different vendors. I mean, okay, this Dolby suite is a little mess for because there is not a transport bar, to my knowledge. And okay, let's see if we can start from the same point.
All of the memories we made into. Can you give me one more night for me and you? Give me one more.
Okay, so 3 0 0 is not 3 0 0 3 is a good starting point. I see.
Give me one more chance.
Okay, a bit less. Okay, I think 1 second less. Okay, so we can start from the same point, which is the chorus. Okay, and this is the room. If I try to use a different engine, for example, which could be the Dolby near emulation, you know, Dolby has different emulation, far, mid, near. Okay, without the room, this is the effect. Obviously, is okay. The gain is lower, but focus on the perception of space, perception of elements. Okay, this is okay. I want also to remove Odyssey. So basically, what you are hearing now is exactly what Tidal will reproduce. This is a magic. I mean, you have a single tool for doing it. And okay, the sound is less convincing in my opinion, because okay, our binaural render and also the room is very beautiful. But it's important for you for a sort of you have to check the mix, and you have to check how much it translates on Tidal, for example, and incoming Spotify. And this is exactly what Spotify will reproduce. Okay, lewdness is a bit low. I want to increase a little bit so we are not cheating. The problem is the render engine, the binaural render engine is not so good. Let's compare with what you was hearing before. Focus on the piano in the back, and now you can hear it. Before with the Dolby, it was less easy to understand where the piano was located. Okay. Lose this. Okay, this evening a lot of time. I will type again this. And this is exactly the problem I was trying to describe before. Each binaural rendering engine has a different quality. Sometimes they are not very directional. I mean, it's hard here to understand the perfectly direction of elements. But you need this sort of tool also for checking what will be reproduced from streaming services. Okay. The same song reproduced using, for example, Apple Music. You have this menu, Apple, okay, near, and okay, I want to remove also this. Okay, and this is.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your hands.
Is another mix which is a bit confused. I mean, is in the frontal part is much more solid than Dolby. In my opinion, maybe Dolby is a little better for other speakers. Same problem of direction of elements. And now, okay, I want you to hear again the Dolby, the Logic one, which is, in my opinion, a good rendering job.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart.
If you are hearing your headphones, you will immediately understand that it's difficult to track elements. It's very difficult to understand where elements are moving, are located. Okay, so I want to introduce our binaural version, which is as much solid as Apple in the front, but you can hear detect elements, in my opinion, in a better way without the rooms.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe.
Pay attention to the piano and the notes. You can hear them moving. Why? Before using Apple and using also Dolby, it was a bit more difficult to understand. This is why this binaural task is difficult.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your hands.
Yes, is the Dolby near Tidal? Yes, because Tidal is recreated using exactly this Dolby suite, and we sample the Dolby suite. So basically, yes. Obviously, there is a trademark on samples, so our version is close, but obviously there are small differences. In my opinion, our version is even better, so your Tidal will be a little worse. So this is the answer for Marco. Okay, down mix a bit different correlation phase. Yes, we can speak a lot about correlation phase in this case because there are several approaches I want to describe, which is also the approach. Basically, what Dolby is doing is sort of trying to avoid to take into account that sounds are reaching different areas at different time, which is technically speaking is ITDA, is the time for reaching. Okay, this is true for Dolby and this is true for Logic. So basically they removed this time because they know that is a problematic for several users. Apple will introduce this ITDA later on using the patent I was describing before. But basically today there is no ITDA. Okay. While we are speaking, I want to hear again because, for example, there is also the Steinberg engine.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your hands. I know this could have.
Okay, was looking for it. Now we listen Steinberg. Okay, there is no low frequencies because there is no LFA channel inside the binaural ambisonic plugin. And we sample the ambisonic plugin. So it's a bit more without bass frequencies, more or less.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your head.
And you can detect it because LFA channel is not working, and you miss bass frequencies. And for example, the IVR, which is not bad in my opinion, this one analytic, this one is not bad.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping.
Okay, there was a glitch. I will reproduce again.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your hands. I know.
This is because the IVR is taking account also the ETDA, I mean the time, which is more or less our approach. I want to hear it again. Okay, from this menu is maybe faster, which is this one. Okay.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart.
The problem is the back of the speaker, which is the most difficult task to reproduce. Let's focus because we can solo, so you can hear it.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your head.
This is the very back. And if you use, for example, Dolby, let's check Dolby, which is near to Binaural, which is this one, same task.
Give me one more chance.
If you say it quickly, it's not really back. It's a bit up, a bit. This is the problem with the render. Things are not really back. I can try having a different, for example, a far one because it is near. Okay, let's check the far, which is the farthest one. Okay, it's more confused in this one.
Give me one more chance.
Now it's back.
Let me breathe into your.
But there is a new problem. When you introduce it, which is their far configuration, is more confused.
Give me one more chance. Let me
The speakers, the piano, you cannot hear the piano moving around. Check this. Now I will keep it.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart.
Because the piano is not really back.
Give me one more chance.
And the piano is reproduced also. This is again a microphone. Okay. The piano. Okay. The piano is reproduced also from top speakers. Let's check. And this is the problem. Top speakers are not really back like they should be. Let's go again to our one. Is a more direction, and also the back is more direction.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart.
And the problem is, for example, in Logic. In Logic is more visible. If I hear, for example, the near, which is more or less like our one.
Give me one more chance.
It's not back, it's more on the side. This is the problem.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart.
Even more problem if you have the top speakers they should be in front of you in this position. Switch to Acustica and you was hearing immediately the new direction in more clear way. Frontal. And this is back. Top, back.
Now that you have gone.
Okay, now the question is why there are smiles in this this computer. Okay, it's a very good computer. Sometimes you have a strange smiles, happy. Yeah.
Too far. I should run to you.
You see, it's not very real. The problem is that you are not in a real room, and you can be in a real room if you want to.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your hands, and I know this could have been
It's very important. This is a real room emulation. People ask me, okay, it's very important to have also a real room. Okay, yes, because you need also to sort of have the feeling you are in a real room where you are producing. Then you can check binaural, but for you it's important also to understand the mix while you are mixing. So this is the reason why we are sort of emulating also the room, also the speakers, but we have different ones. For example, there is a very large room in Rome, and this is this Officina 5.1 is the name. 5.1 is the name of the, and using our approach, our engine. Okay, is a super wide because the room is super wide, and this is another question: if all Atmos rooms are the same? No, they are not the same. You have a different experience in each one, even if there is a strict requirement for commissioning and so on. Really, the size of the room matters. So, you see, it's a very large room.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your hands, and I know this could have been.
And a friend of mine told me, I prefer Genelec speakers, and really everything was not convincing for him till I tried the same song, because he is very used to Genelec speakers. So it's very important also this. This was this one. And I think also this is a good combination. It's more detailed, it's more intimate sounding room, but it's pretty good.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your hands, and I know this could have been.
It's very good room because it's more less immersive room, but sometimes you need more realistic reproducing. And I love this room. I think it is right. Sometimes I prefer Officina because when I have strings, for example, I love strings in a very large sound stage. When I have normal music, I prefer OG. Sometimes when I need detailed focus, transient detail, and less phasey sound, I prefer this room because the speakers are closer. So basically, you have less phasing effect. So and obviously, direction is a bit more confused because speakers are closer to you. It's like a very near, very close room.
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I'm from your head.
This is the front, and this is the back. So, was just showing you different engines, and different speakers, so you have an idea now. The movie sequence, yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Tony. This is exactly my experience. The movie sequence is more detailed in Jelek. Also because you have a less phasey effect, is very difficult to understand very well transient-based effects on very large soundstage. Also, for example, file emulation from Dolby or Logic or Apple is a bit more confused because you cannot understand direction very well. In this case, you can also transient detail is a good. Sometimes I think you have just to evaluate your room, the best choice, which is the room you prefer, and maybe have a different presets so you can compare. For example, in this case, let's check. I'm checking just music like the way you can do. And
Give me one more chance. Let me breathe into your heart. I am sleeping from your hands. I know.
in 5 seconds, I switched different kind of sound stages, and I was able to check if the mixer was correct or not. So this is the way Sienna helps you for translation. You can quick check. So I think it's a bit late. If you have questions, remaining questions, or I like the song. The song was really. I suggest the chorus. The song is a bit like our one because we have an agreement with with Gianni. Gianni from Og Studios. It was recorded in this exactly Og recording facility you can see in Siena. And Gianni is very cool, and they are very good with the Atmos. They prepared an incredible song. They are doing Atmos properly, in my opinion, and it helped a lot during the creation of this product. We sampled the room. We exchanged a lot of tricks and questions and a lot of ideas. So yeah, and they have really cool also drummer, and also the guy which is playing piano is very good. This is the same song. It was used for Silver demo song, and we improved it, adding Atmos tracks and Atmos mixing. Recommend Sienna Sphere. Okay, this is a difficult question. I mean, Sienna Sphere is for Atmos, and I forgot very last thing. You can use Sienna. You can use a Sienna Sphere as a normal Sienna too. I mean, you have just to use this 2.0, and in this case you have this one, and now is a normal Sienna, and is just reproducing the stereo speakers. I think I don't know if it is reproducing something. I'm not sure, but okay, it does basically. The point is when you have this configuration is normal Sienna, and you have also pan. You have also the same controls normally you have in normal Sienna. When you use other render engines like this one, I'm not sure is playing. I don't know why it's not playing, because the configuration is from this one, I think. Okay. Okay, I don't know why it's not playing for. Maybe it's fooled because we are in a configuration 7.1. You have to use after a possible a proper track. They don't know how to is a connected like the render is a 7.1.4 connected to stereo. But in any case, you can use exactly this configuration like a stereo. And what is important is that you have this stereo and this normal Sienna, but you have also different engines from other, same Dolby engine for the front speakers, or Logic for the front speakers, or the AVR for front speakers. So basically you can use as a replacement of Sienna. What is important in Sienna, you have also the reference for headphones plugin. If you are just using it for Atmos, maybe Sienna Sphere is enough. If you want to use also for stereo, possibly is less CPU intensive, normal Sienna. And I don't know. I mean, if you want to use the reference plugin, okay, the reference plugin is in Sienna standard, and is not in a Sienna Sphere. Obviously, you have headphones here, but there are more items you can check there. For simple Atmos, I mean simple, it's not simple, but for Atmos, possibly a single plugin is enough. If you are using, for example, Pro Tools and MRU, and after you are using Sienna, it's good that you have just a single system-wide and not a couple of system-wide, because you can connect this is system-wide after the other Sienna system-wide with just headphone correction. It works, but you have to run a couple of them. It depends on you. You have to check. There are trial version you can try. Beds are mono stereo, Alpodos are mono stereo. Yes. Is a good answer from Enrique, which is following. But I have a Sphere on trial. Yes. If you are working with Atmos, I think you need a Sienna. I'm not sure that other companies will be as much fast as we are for creating a tool which actually work for Atmos. But in any case, they have to also to solve the system-wide problem, because without the system-wide, you are a bit lost. You cannot use it properly. So this is my idea. Exactly. From Simon, would answer, go for normal Sienna if you're not doing Atmos. This is the best answer. Will you make other plugin multi-channel? Yes, depends. It depends on if we need it. I mean, there is an idea about supporting, for example, reverbs for Atmos, but I think there is not a market yet. I mean, there is this Sienna, and I was expecting very few sales because there are just few people in the world which are today mixing Atmos. Okay, they are trying, they are testing, but they are not really mixing. So basically, sales are a lot less than when you are releasing a gold plugin like an Eve. But in the future, I want to support surround plugins. We are a bit CPU intensive, especially for example, reverbs. So maybe an Atmos reverb could be a problem. But maybe something like Silver with different pre-delays, like in multi-channel format, maybe makes a sense and is not so much CPU intensive. So this is really good to understand the direction your mix. Sienna, yes, exactly, Emiliano. Sienna Sphere is exactly like Sienna for stereo mixing. It solves the same exact problem. I mean, the translation problem. Obviously, the task is different. So in a stereo mix, you have to check, because there is a mastering phase, you have to check different speakers. While in a Sienna Sphere, you have to check different binaural engines. So this is exactly the same. And so I think we answered all questions. I think we answered. There were other questions we received in the previous days, but I think I answered. And not in direct way, but while I was speaking, I was describing this suite. The next thing to mix an LP in Dolby Atmos, Sienna Sphere, more suitable for video market. Okay, this is a question from Gregor. Sorry, maybe I'm not saying very well your name. Okay, the point is, you can use a Sienna Sphere. You can use a Sienna Sphere for Atmos. It's okay. The problem is if Atmos is good for reproducing all music. I mean, there was a lot of good music which was created for a sort of stereo experience, and you want to translate it to an immersive experience. Okay, there is always a way. I mean, there are a lot of tricks you can implement for getting the same mix. For example, now they are extracting drums, stereo vocals from a stem, for a stereo stem, and they are sort of placing it in a sort of immersive soundstage. It works. Maybe it's not the same song, so I don't know if it makes a sense for all music. I don't know. This is a question. Possibly Atmos is good for mixing new music. I'm not sure that it will be a standard for creating all the new music, but there is a direction. Measure once songs converted to this Atmos configuration. So really, it depends. It depends. Sometimes it's very cool. Atmos is very cool. Sometimes less. I had the issues, for example, hearing music in Atmos using my phone, my Apple phone. And at the end, I disable it because a lot of mixes were a lot confused and was very difficult to hear them using headphones. So at the end, I disable Atmos. So it depends. I don't have an answer. So basically, I want to say, okay, I hope my live stream was good enough for introducing this new plugin, how to use it, to give you tips about differences, an idea about differences. Maybe there will be a stream, a saved stream in the next days, so you can test it using your headphones with a bit of time. In our website, I think there is also a sort of demo rendered using a different presets from Sienna. Maybe this live stream was better for understanding different speakers configuration and checking a solo of a speaker, a difference from, for example, Logic to our one or standard. And I hope it helps. So have a nice evening. Thank you for watching this stream. If you have other questions, we are available. You can ask in our page, in our Facebook group, to me directly. I will try to answer. If you think it's useful, we can repeat this kind of streaming or not. Depends on what you prefer. Just we are here. And have a nice day.